Hey there, it's Joseph, and welcome back to the YouTube channel dedicated to San Miguel de Allende's secrets. And today I'm going to go over some things about retirement in Mexico that has its unique set of estate planning issues for foreigners. And the more planning one does, the more likely it is your assets will go on to someone you'd celestially like to see enjoying them. I've seen several elderly expats blissfully thinking the money in their Mexican bank account will pass to their children, and if said kids are lucky, maybe some will. Normally, bank folks know the heir will only be in town for a few days, and they'll simply delay closing an account until the pestering heir has gone back over the wall. Next, the child will hire a Mexican lawyer long distance to represent them to the bank, while the bank negotiates for returning a percentage of the account to the lawyer. Then the lawyer will take their cut and wire the money north. So, for example, Mrs. Brady has 100,000 USD peso equivalent in a bank here, so that bank may keep 50%, the lawyer 30%, and Marcia may, years down the road, see the remaining 20K come her way. Real estate, the other great sticky wick, is equally convoluted. There are two scenarios for a foreigner inheriting property. One is they can take possession of the property, showing their birth certificate, and pay very little in taxes. Secondly, if the beneficiary of your largesse desires to sell the property, your heir will need to become a resident of Mexico or pay 25 to 30% in additional taxes. Residency requirements are in a constant state of flux. When I got mine, you could have it for free upon providing that you lived here for 5 years and had a certain very minimum income. Now I've met folks that pay thousands in fees to receive residency from a Texan consulate the same day. It's hard to predict what the requirements will be when you transition off this mortal tether. A third option is when someone knows your former piece of paradise is empty. They can move in, pay utilities and such, so that in a handful of weeks, they become the legal owner from rather liberal squatting laws. If your once precious bundles of joy are slow moving or coming down and setting up the wheels in motion to own your castle, they can lose the property to a former neighbor or maid in record time. For example, Mrs. Brady has passed, and the local 24-hour society disposed of her remains. Her 3 sons, Greg, Peter, and Bobby, arranged to come down on a 3-day weekend months later. However, Greg, Peter, and Bobby are middle-aged men with jobs and families that don't speak Spanish or have never even been to town before. By now, Mrs. Brady's housekeeper, Alice, has taken over the home as her own and changed the locks. The lads get nowhere with the bank that holds Carol Brady's account and watch their mother's pesos slip away from them with the ease and agility of an escaping eel. A workaround is to leave your bank account and property in a Mexican's name that, for example, you've fallen in love with or wish to reward. A local bank is way more likely to transition your investments to a fellow Mexican who's way more likely to leave your deposits right where they are. Estate planning, at its base, is simply another way of expressing love, and sometimes you love someone by simply leaving them alone, not expecting them to come down to fight battles in a Spanish-speaking war that can last the rest of their lifetime.